Detective, bury it. Who needs it? Trash. Awful. Like, I don't like a lot of his stuff. The number 23 I kind of liked, but you didn't need him for that. The Truman Show I thought was pretty good, and you did need him for that. He was really, really good in that. Oh, I loved him in Man on the Moon. I love that movie about Andy Kaufman. It was great. Love that movie. So I like some of the stuff he does, but like some of that like stuff he was famous for, like I never thought Cameron Diaz was as fun to look at as most guys my age did. She's attractive. I'm not trying to say she's ugly, but I never really got the, oh my God, I want to stare at her for 3 hours, man. Never. Not one time. And so, like, you combine that with, wait a minute, he puts a mask on and he becomes this, and none of this is believable. Yeah, I'm good. I'll be on the outside here. Now, some of you are just throwing out bad. Sharknado is being thrown around a little bit. Well, they were trying to make a bad movie. You know what I mean? Like, that's what they're doing. You guys seem to be on opposite sides of Little Nicky. Either you love Little Nicky or do think it's his worst movie ever. A movie called The Mist. That acting, well, I guess, John, what I want to know there is which one. The original Mist, or they did do a remake, I think, in the early aughts, for anybody that doesn't know, 2000s. And I'm pretty sure they remade that in the early aughts, because I remember putting, this was stolen from the WMMS prize closet sticker on them before we handed them out. I'm pretty sure I remember doing that. So I guess I want to know which one of those you're talking about. Lord of the Rings was complete and total trash. Well, there it is. The hottest of takes. I read the books as a kid, because everybody did. Because, well, books is all you had, right? So, like, I read the books. Now, I'm not one of those guys that's normally like, oh my God, book is something better. Oh my God, book is better. I hate people like that. But, like, I actually like the Lord of the Rings movies. They're long, and I know that's usually, they had insinuated that Lord of the Rings is now right-wing, conservative, white supremacy content now. Did you see this? This was an argument they were putting forth the other day because it's really this, and this is this. And, like, they went absolutely bonkers crazy with that the other day. So I'm wondering if that's what that is. I'm really hoping not. People don't like those. If it's about the length, I feel like those movies are pretty good. Now, Katie said, oh, well, the Lord of the Rings movies were good. The Hobbit trilogy was terrible. I disagree. I felt like the Hobbit movies were all right. Now, again, I don't love that stuff. I like that one. Bad movies. There's a bad, I wouldn't have this as like my favorite bad movie of all time, but Mickey Rourke starred in a bad movie that I do like. And that bad movie is Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. It is, and I mean bad. The other night, because I was like looking around and I was like, all right, fine, I'll go to bed to this. Grown up. But I wore a VHS copy of this out, and I dated myself earlier by talking about VHS tapes. But I wore a copy of this movie out. It is a bad movie, but I loved it as a kid. Turner and Hooch. Right? Like, Tom Hanks wouldn't be caught dead in Turner and Hooch today. Like, he wouldn't be caught dead. Well, in half the movies he made back then, he wouldn't do anymore. And that's, I mean, welcome to entertainment. I've said it before about actors. That's the thing about that industry, man, is you got to make a lot of bad movies before you can make a good one, right? Before you... It's probably not as much like that as it used to be. It's kind of like porn. More dudes to make gay porn first. Like, it's kind of how that works, right? Like, it's kind of one of those things. Tom Hanks wouldn't be caught dead in those types of movies today. But Turner and Hooch was a bad movie that I enjoyed. I liked that movie a lot. And I liked Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man, but that's not a good movie. Burn After Reading, Butch says, yeah, that was, I believe that was based on a true story where some information got leaked. And Brad Pitt was in that movie, like two gym idiots, right? They kind of bad movies. See, a lot of these, you guys, I don't even think would know the names of these. Like, that's how bad some of them are. Daddy Day Camp, Money, New Michael has plenty of attitude, even if she's broke after 6 months of, and expand here for more. No, I don't think I will. I think we're all right on that one. Let me see here. Oh, the Look Who's Talking movies are on this list. Again, I understand the first movie. Going back to the well, and yes, it was a moneymaker, so let's do it again. I don't know why Hollywood doesn't look around after making a bad movie that makes $1 billion and go, we got away with it. Like, let's not be so cocky that we try to get away with it again. Oh, okay, yeah, this is on this list. Oh my God, this movie was terrible. So when I first got in the radio business, I didn't have cable, right? I was poor, like poor. And so you would lean on stuff that you would get out of the prize closet. And then as somebody who was running the promotions department, what I would do is I'd take a movie home, watch it, and take it back, right? That's what we would do. Because you had to open them anyway to put the stickers on them. Nobody was going to know. So who cared, right? And so I used to do that all the time because they used to send boxes and boxes of DVDs all the time. And there was a remake that came out in 2002. Rollerball? Remember that? Chris Klein, whose name you probably don't know, but they tried to make him a thing after American Pie. He was going to be the next, like, hot, good-looking guy who has zero acting ability whatsoever, but apparently he's good-looking, so everybody believes he could be in a movie. They tried to make him a thing. Rollerball was really, really, really bad. But the problem with that is, the first Rollerball wasn't any good either. It's like you remade a bad movie and made it even worse. People talk about that all the time. That what Hollywood needs to do, and I would agree with this, stop remaking good movies. Go back and find a bad movie that was like, dude, they were 4 decent lines and 1 good action scene away from this being halfway decent. Go back and resurrect a bad movie and make it good. That is something I would actually rather watch Hollywood do. News Show Tuesday at 9's got new Jelly Roll, new Dorothy, also new Taylor Swift part of that. Yeah, do that coming up at 9. You guys are pretty good at this bad movie game. you guys are pretty good at this. Matt says do that Harley Quinn movie. Terrible. Made it 20 seconds. They made 2 of those, did they not? They made the Harley Quinn movie, and then was it Birds of Prey? Was that her second attempt at that? You kind of lose me with some of the comic book stuff because I don't know all the names and all that stuff. Yeah, I mean, look, without her in it, there's zero chance I watch that movie. She's one of those people, I'm brain farting on her name a little bit, that woman who played Harley Quinn, but she is like, oh wow, look at that. Like, oh my God, dude. Like, she's so sexy. Like, you ever see people who are so beautiful where you're like, dude, look at that all. These, like, there's sometimes people are that sexy. She's kind of one of those. But I would admit that that movie never really was all that good. Tusk is what Jeff is telling me. What a terrible movie. A movie so awful. People act like it's great because it's Kevin Smith. His name is on it, so people pretend that they like it. Okay, so, like, I like Kevin Smith movies. I've seen most of those, but apparently I have not seen this one, and I'm forgetting what this movie is. If you'll forgive me here, as I just saw this. A U.S. podcaster, Justin Long, ventures into the Canadian wilderness to interview an old man who has an extraordinary past, and the American learns that the man has a dark secret involving a walrus. Yeah, all right. Like, there's nothing about that description that makes me go, today. I'm watching it, right? And I like Kevin Smith movies. I'm into those, but that doesn't even sound like a Kevin Smith movie to me. That doesn't even sound like that to me. Zach also tells me, dude, the Tommy movie with Elton John. I don't remember that. I don't, and maybe it's that have I not seen that? Maybe I haven't seen it. I don't necessarily remember that. Margot Robbie, thank you, Tim, is who I was talking about. Thank you. But yeah, I'm not sure I've ever seen that movie, the Tommy movie. Maybe I have. Maybe that was one of those things that my older cousins were watching when I was a kid, and I was like, yeah, I've seen it, but like I haven't. I'd maybe have to give that a watch. A lot of people started throwing out like obscure like horror movie titles. Like that gets tough because a lot of those movies are bad by design, right? Like, I went to the theater to see a scary movie. Now, I guess this is a little while ago now, but, like, Terrifier, but it was the second one. They made another one of those, and I didn't really care for that. Everybody was talking about how great they were. Now, I said, part of my problem with that is that I don't want to be gored to death. Like, I don't need it gory. What I want is to be on the edge of my seat, like, oh God, what's happening? Oh God, like what's happening? Oh, just slit her wrist already, right? Like I want more suspense than I want blood just splattering all over the screen, and let's just make it as gory as humanly possible. So I felt like Terrifier was a bad movie because I was just like, this isn't. Like, without the buckets of blood, you have nothing here. There's no story, there's no plot line, there's nothing in this. I'll tell you something else. I don't know if this would make for a bad movie or not, but I just saw this headline yesterday. Is apparently Robert Englund, who had played Freddy Krueger, apparently he wants Kevin Bacon to play Freddy Krueger. And the argument is, well, once you put all the makeup on the stuff, it's a character, it doesn't really matter. But, like, it might matter, though, right? Like, I think that's one of the reasons Robert Englund had been a little bit of an actor before those movies. Though that's what broke him out to a mass public audience for sure, but he had been an actor, right? I think if you made somebody like Kevin Bacon, who's got real chops, and you give them that role, some of that acting, I mean, it was so much of his snark, Freddy, is what made him great, right? And so I think if you get a good actor, because they try to redo that movie in like 2010 or something, I think it was, and they tried to do that, and it was okay, but it wasn't necessarily what the movie was back in the 80s and all of that. But I saw Robert Englund kind of throw Kevin Bacon forward for that, and I was like, well, he's got the chops. He's a big name, yet not so famous right now. You think, oh my God, what's he doing that for? Right? Like, and so, like, I think it could work. I think that could work, and I think that would be interesting, because I think sometimes when making horror movies, people don't focus on the acting enough. You ever notice, like, dude, a lot of people get their start in those movies because there's no budget. They're going to be very B-level movies, and, like, so you kind of reach out. Like Kevin Bacon, as a matter of fact. He got his start in a horror movie franchise, did he not? I'm pretty sure he had a knife shoved through his throat in one of the Friday the 13th movies. Was it the first or the second one of those? I think it was pretty early on in that series. Kevin Bacon had been a part of that. Somebody mentioned this, and they are right about it while talking about bad movies. And they said, Stansberry, you had already told us, dude, you kind of like Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man. That's a bad movie. That's a bad movie. Yes, bad movie, but for some reason I enjoy it. And somebody reminded me that this is out there. And I've made the photo available for you on my socials, The Stansberry Show, because most of you, luckily, have never seen this movie. That movie I'm referencing is Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park. Woof. So, in the 70s, bands go in all different directions. They're kind of all over the map. Two guys want to leave, two guys trying to hold it together. The thing is a mess, and I mean a mess. But they're still at, like, the height of their popularity. Behind closed doors, it's all falling apart and nobody knows. So they sell him on doing this movie. And they told him, it's going to be Star Wars meets A Hard Day's Night. And for some reason, those idiots went, that sounds like a good idea. I think I would have been sitting there in the room like, Ace Holmes, no, I don't think so. I don't know what we're doing here, right? So Star Wars meets A Hard Day's Night. What it is Kiss has special powers, right? Gene obviously brings fire. Paul has lasers that come out of his eyes. I don't even know what Peter Criss was doing. Cocaine on set is what we know for sure he was doing. But, like, nobody has any idea what the hell he was actually doing in the movie. And that movie is bad. So what it is like, somebody takes, like, the guy who creates all the rides at an amusement park, like, takes over the park. And Kiss is supposed to be playing a couple of shows at Magic Mountain, right? But, like, they trap Kiss. And, like, they're locked in, like, you know, a jail cell. And then there's a fake robotic Kiss that goes out there and takes over for him. Dude, you guys think Kiss music is bad? You should hear the music they made for that movie. Because what they did was, they took one of my favorite songs from the band, Hotter Than Hell. It's my favorite record, one of my favorite songs, love it. That song goes, hot, hot, hotter than hell, in the chorus, right? So, like, the fake Kiss gets up there, and they change it to rip, rip, rip and destroy. It is, I mean, laugh out loud bad. It is ridiculous bad. Here's how bad Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park is. Ace Frehley, lead guitar, could barely show up and do the movie. He wouldn't show up for recuts. He wouldn't show up for most of that kind of stuff. And neither would Peter Criss. Peter Criss's voice isn't even in the movie. They just got some guy to say the parts, and like because Peter wouldn't come back to do dubbing, he wouldn't do it, and so like they used somebody else's voice. That's bad enough. You go watch the action scenes in that movie. They use stunt doubles. All movies do, and it's okay. But if you look closely, it's noticeable. Ace's stunt double is African American. And like, it's, even with the makeup on, it's like, that is clearly not Ace Frehley. And like, they tried to pass that off. And it is, honestly, that is one of the worst movies I have ever seen in my life. Apparently, they were thinking theatrical release, and I think it did come out in a couple of drive-ins. Paul tells a story about going to see a screening of it in New York, and he slumped down in his seat because of how bad it was. And they ended up putting, I think it was ABC. They did it like a movie of the week, and like Kiss saved Magic Mountain. Save yourself the 2 hours. It is the biggest piece of trash you will ever see in your life. Welcome back to the Stansbury Show. New Tour Tuesday at 9. New Jelly Roll part of that. Taylor Swift and also Dorothy. Dorothy probably a little underrated. Reminding me, Johnny Depp got his start in Nightmare on Elm Street as we were talking about Kevin Bacon maybe taking over the Freddy Krueger role. I actually like the idea. Get somebody with some chops in there for that role. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea. Brian says, dude, the Blair Witch Project was a bad movie. Remember that was all the rage? It was awful. I remember going to the theater to see it and walking out feeling unfulfilled. Like, oh. But there was one part in that movie that was like so. There was one scene in that movie, The Blair Witch, that was like I've seen that movie 3 times and somehow I still remember this. That it was so funny. I bursted out laughing out loud in the theater when they're freaking out, and I forget the sports team. I think it was a baseball team or something. But the kid's like scrumping up the map, and he like throws the map in the middle of the woods. He's like, so-and-so's gonna win the World Goddamn Series, and I'm not gonna see it because I'm stuck in the woods. And like freaking out, going full-blown Stansbury, and I was like, yeah, I kind of feel like that maybe right there. And so like I got a kick out of that. But it's been a while since I've seen the Blair Witch Project. Dude, that was at the center of like culture there for a hot minute. People were going to the town and walk. I mean, like things got kind of nutty with that. I don't know if I'd go so far as to put that on a list of worst movies ever made, but there was a lot of hype around that movie. Much like, you know, the Jerry Maguire thing, right? Everybody tells you how good it is. You see it, it's like, it's okay. The kid's kind of cute, but outside of that, is this really a great movie, right? Now this came in. Mark says this, and I'm surprised about this. Mark says, I Am Legend. Terrible. Wow. I'm surprised. It's not like I love I Am Legend, but laying around on Saturday, waiting for a game to start, and I'm like going through the channels, if I see I Am Legend, I'm probably going to stop and watch it. It's not on par with this movie, but it's a little like Shawshank like that, right? Like I'm just going to kind of just watch it when it's on. I don't think it's as good as Shawshank. I'm not trying to make that argument. But I really liked I Am Legend. Now that's, we're going back some years there. I remember seeing it in the theater in Vegas with my brother. And that movie almost got me. You guys know I can be a little bit of a softie in the movies, right? Like you can get me. You can, oh, sad. I don't like it. And spoiler, for anybody who hasn't seen a movie that I believe came out in 2007, somewhere right around there, I think. But spoiler if you haven't seen it. Dude, when he has to snap that dog's neck, like, I gotta be honest with you, man, I didn't love that. Now, you know, the whole movie, the minute the wife and the kid are like getting on the helicopter and he's like, don't worry, I'm gonna find the thing that's gonna save everybody, and he's holding the dog, you know, right? Like, you know, it's like, that dog ain't making it all the way through this damn movie. I know it, man. And I was sitting there waiting for that moment. And when it happened, I didn't like that one. I didn't like it. That one got me. I don't like people hurting dogs. I'm not into it. I'm a dog person, man. I liked I Am Legend. I like that movie. I feel like going crazy and talking to the mannequins in the middle of the street would happen. Like, I feel like that would go down. Hunting through other people's homes for the canned food, I think would happen. I think, so I actually kind of like that movie. The worst part of I Am Legend for me was all the goddamn Bob Marley music in the beginning of it. Might as well play Sublime if you're going to play Bob Marley. They're both terrible. But I Am Legend I thought was a pretty good movie. I'm not going to put it at the list of best movies or anything like that, but pretty good. I can't believe anybody has that as like their least favorite movie or a terrible movie. I'm surprised. Now, my brother didn't necessarily love it. You know, we saw it together and he walked out. I was like, eh. David's like a little bit more cold-hearted than I am, so he didn't get the dog thing at all. He's like, oh, what do I care? It's like, you got 3 dogs at home. He's like, that's exactly right, and they're all alive. He's like, so I'm going to go home and hug my dog. I'll be fine. But I actually, I thought that movie was really good. Again, I don't know if I'd go with best movie ever made or whatever, but I like that one. Yeah. I think you guys are a little crazy there. Here's what else we're a little crazy on. Did you realize this? Apparently, we're spending about $18,000 a year we should not be. That's more than $1 million over the course of your life. Per month, results reveal that the average American spends $20 on coffee drinks. I don't buy that. Well, per month? All right, maybe per month. Okay. As well as $209 on dinners at restaurants and $189 going out drinking with friends. Well, the older you get, that one's probably going to go down a little bit. The way less likely you are to go out. Everybody shares the same mean. At 40, if it doesn't start before 6:30, I ain't going. Right? And so, like, it's kind of one of those things. Now, this I would believe. That the average person pays about $91 a month for their cable service, in addition to another $23 for streaming movies and TV shows. Now, that would be one streamer. I think they're all right around there, hovering at that, at least somewhat. On this, and I need this for this, and so I figured the cable thing out, and I say, on spending the money on it and not going. It's like when people buy the $2,000 elliptical and then they hang laundry on it, then it's a waste of money. If you spend $2,000 on that machine, put it in your house and you use it, you're no longer wasting money there. You invested in you. I don't think that that's a waste of money at all. I think you're way better off skipping the coffee and paying for. Then yes, that is a waste of money, and you're allowing they say about $18,000 a year to fall out of your back pocket, apparently. They say the average American is spending $1,497 per month on non-essential items. That, according to some new research, adds up to about 18 grand a year. Okay, now, there are things that are non-essential, but also allow you to feel alive. And day in and day out, every now and again, a little bit of a win, a little bit of 5 minutes of pleasure, a little bit of this tastes too good, a little bit of this is not bad. Is not bad. But if you're wasting $1,500 a month on non-essential items, think about if you cut that in half and put that on your mortgage. How much faster are you paying off your house at that point? A hell of a lot faster. A lot faster. That's what we're always saying, because people will, knock Susie Orman and all these people who tell you to pack your lunch and do all this stuff, but it is true. It works. It's like my brother said this to me 20 years ago. He goes, the problem with you is you're one of these people where you nickel and dime yourself out of all of your money and you look around talking about how life's unfair. He's like, Dan, he's like, show me everything you bought in the last month. And now this is 20 years ago, and he was like, look, this is you don't need any of this. And but I was one of those people. It's like, no, man, I got to know I'm alive. If I'm not having fun, how do I know I'm alive? Then I'm just going to work and I'm not doing anything. But now I don't feel that way as much. What comforts me now is opening up my online banking and going, oh, that's where all my money is. Oh, that's where, look, it's all right there. I kind of like that. $1,500 a month on non-essential items, that's too much. Even if you cut it in half, you could still have the bulk of your essential items and, wait for it, pay off your mortgage that much bastard. Or any other bill you have. Maybe you don't even have a mortgage. Maybe it's credit card bills. Whatever you need money for, get it off of me. Score your first Rock the Bank $1,000 keyword on Rock 106.9 next.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, you know, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
At all. Not even close. Every Democrat I know. Now, this would be anecdotal as it's not all of them and just the people I know. Every last one, to a man, will tell me, no, I voted against Trump, not for Joe Biden. Notice, like, nobody's head and hands this morning except for, well, there is this idiot. This guy's head and hands this morning.
He's run down! He's run down!
Technically, he just decided not to run again for re-election. But by the way, this noise right here is this person slapping themselves in the face, crying into the camera, posting this for you. You know, I just wanted to tell everybody that because we have this feeling that only one side of the political aisle can be radicalized in this country. And this right here, honey, is proof that that's dead-ass wrong.
Joe Biden, please!
MSNBC did that to that boy right there. Yeah, it did. Social media did that to him. Yes, it did.
Gen Z, we need to band together. Please. He was for Gen Z's first president.
That'll fix it. Scream in the air. That'll do it. Couple more whimpers here. And done. Yeah, Rachel Maddow did that to homie right there. Just so you know. Because he's fine. No, the other side is they're ableist. You know why I hammer this as hard as I do? Because of the audacity of the other side. You know what I didn't mention in the 7 o'clock hour this morning when we talked about this? They actually had the balls to try to float Dark Brandon in the face of everybody saying, pretty sure homie can't divide anymore. Like, I'm pretty sure this can't happen anymore. Dark Brandon. That's when you should have known right there. We saw this coming. It was vote blue no matter who. They don't give a damn who they're voting for. They're voting against someone. Nothing about Harris. If it's going to do anything, it will probably at least energize this. Well, wait a minute here. So what I don't just have is two old white dudes battling this out, like every other time in the history, well, except for that one time. Most other times in the history of this country. Now all of a sudden, Youth Vote has like well, I may not love her. And yet, she's an idiot who cannot find the end of a paragraph. For sure. Former prosecutor. Yeah, go back and check that. You know what? Fine, whatever. Anyway, and so like, she's an idiot for sure. But the Youth Vote is going to look at it and go, well, wait a minute. I'm way more likely to be represented here. Or at bare minimum, I'm way more likely to be thought about here. Right? And if you're anti-Trump, what about Harris makes you afraid to vote for her? Nothing. As a matter of fact, they're all going to start to tell themselves, well, she's been running the country forever now. Because that thing that they told you was a conspiracy theory, meaning Biden's not running the country, now all of a sudden, watch now as they wrap their arms around how true that is to sell her on the fact that she has the credibility to be electable now. They're going to start to tell you how she's been doing everything all along. They called you a conspiracy theorist. They told you what you were saying was wrong. They called you all the names. And now they're going to run to that argument. You just wait. You just wait. I don't think that this hands Trump a victory easily. I don't think it's impossible for him to beat her. But there's nothing about this it's always been anything but him over there. That's how they got people to vote for them last time. And that's what they're going to do here. Beyond all of that, we know how this is going to play at MSNBC, CNN, The Guardian, and Slate, and Jezebel, and all these other outlets. We know how this is going to play. Any criticism of her whatsoever will be seen as sexist, and it will be dismissed as sexist, and then either or both, maybe too, it will be dismissed as racist. So any criticism you have of her will be easily dismissed. They won't even allow the criticism to enter the conversation and highlight any of the points and address it at all. They will tell you there's no point to address it because it only comes from this place. Essentially doing what I always say. Owning the virtue and telling you nobody else but them is allowed to own any virtue. That's what they're going to do. Now, where that will only be a problem for them is this. If progressives feel like, I don't like her then, I don't want her then, and I do have criticisms, and I'm not racist, and I'm not sexist, I have these, and now all of a sudden you want to lump me in with those people over there because you're trying to win, not trying to tell me the truth. That could be a problem. But she's not so bad that people are going to let down their defense of how much they hate the other guy. That's not going to happen. She maybe even picked up some debate mojo here. J.D. Vance was going to box her ears in. She got, and I mean absolutely bodied.